people that waste time, people that don't follow up on action items. And then just, I just think people that are more selfish driven, or I'm here to get mine, all about me, blah, blah, blah. Those are the type of people that you don't want, especially if you want them to grow your team.
When I first started going to the Gardena office and I would see you guys walk out, I would just be like, not scared, but I would be like, oh my God, like I saw him in a podcast, because the edification has a whole like different level in that company. Crazy. Because it's like you're untouchable. You have to qualify to talk to them. And it was like, and seeing you guys like coming in and out of ththose offices, I was like, I felt like you guys were celebrities.
But I really, what feel like to me separates people from a good candidate from a great candidate is someone that.
Thanks for joining this week on the Elite Sales Podcast. I'm very happy joined in studio by Kyle Tsuneishi, family friend.
Yeah.
So Kyle is my best friend's cousin's by marriage.
Yep.
Correct.
Best friend's cousin's husband.
We're all Asian.
Yeah.
We're all the same.
Yeah.
So he's joining us out of Gardena up the street, right?
Yep.
So and also co-host John Backron.
What are we doing?
And we got a remote guest for a little bit later. We got Elyssa Montiel. So we'll get to her in a second. But Kyle, thank you for joining us in the office today. We wanted to come in and have a little chat because Kyle actually just, he inquired about this a long time ago, joining insurance, getting into FFL, sent out the course. He started it. I think he took a break, took a break, which, I mean, it's not because he just was sitting around doing nothing. He had a baby along the way.
Oh, congrats.
Yeah, congratulations. Also he had a real estate business. He has a real estate business, and he had, I don't know, a few other jobs, right?
Yeah.
So,
a couple things keeping me busy.
Busy man. So what made you look to get into insurance in the first place?
I mean, my dad does insurance. He does auto and home insurance, has had his own business for about 40 years. So our insurance is something that I've always known growing up. But yeah, I just see opportunities through it, and I saw some of the lavish vacations I've been on with Albert and been able to see all those and realize that it's a cool way to make some passive income and a cool way to take care of your family and take care of others. So definitely got me interested.
Yeah, some of those places were pretty fun, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, so just to go back to that, I mean, if not for that, would you have thought there's that much money in insurance, or that it could be that potentially that lucrative?
No, I probably wouldn't have, because it was totally caught me out of the blue. Yeah. You invited us over to this house in San Diego and had a train and a basketball court.
You
and
got him.
Giant pool with the water slide.
That water slide was legit.
Yeah.
Nice.
And the food that you like had delivered in. Yeah. It's pretty good.
Well, yeah, I mean, so that was totally not planned, because at first because it was the height of COVID.
Yeah.
So just wanted to get together with some family friends and just hang out. And then I rented out this compound, and then, we invited Kyle and his wife over, and he came over. I'm glad you did. That was not a recruiting ploy, but it worked. Wanted you to come and hang out and spend some time. And, it was a fun time, but also, yeah, I mean, it's those little moments is just like, this is why you work so hard for it. And I'm sure Elyssa is going to talk about this too. It's just the reason why you work so hard, so you can do things, not necessarily for the material things. It's more for the freedom of being able to do these things without worrying about money.
Yeah.
So when you were like, okay, now you kind of knew about insurance a little bit, but then you saw, okay, this looks like it's real.
Mm-hmm.
And then is that when you talked to me about joining?
Probably a few months after that. Yeah, definitely after that got me thinking about this might be real. Danae had talked to me a little bit about it, family friend. Yeah, just something that I could do passively, and kind of what you mentioned, what for me, I have a young family, young son, and for me what's most important is giving him experiences, and not more the materialistic things, but more giving him things that I didn't have growing up, or giving him the best of what I never had, or that's kind of like what my main goal is now. So I think that any avenue or opportunity that allows me to do that, I'm definitely interested in.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I'm also I used to be a little bit more nervous about bringing in people I know because I feel like the pressure is really on because I feel like I got to make sure that they make money, they produce, and then I'm like, so there's a good accountability to it. But at our last company, John and we were at a company together for what, 11
10,
years.
11 years.
And so the thing is like we could bring people in and we know that you could make money, but the odds are not necessarily in your favor.
Dude,
Like the turnover rate was too high.
yeah, I felt like you had to be really extremely skilled, or you can get by without their system or their structure. Where it's flipped here, you don't want to be extremely skilled because you'll try to look for like outside of this system structure to try to make successful. You just need to work hard, and we have enough resources.
Right. I thought you were going to say, hopefully, if they come in, that they don't need to get by on very much at our last company.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Dude, you would feel bad. People having like families trying to come in, wait for like a 2-3 weeks of like training and checkouts. Like, bro, you got bills to pay, man.
Right.
It's rough.
Yeah. But yeah, here I'm very confident because I think there's already infrastructure, there's already a good system in place. So the thing is, you can come in here. It's pretty turnkey. The thing is, like John kind of mentioned, like you don't need to try to reinvent the wheel. I think sometimes people make things much more complicated than it needs to be because they bring in their past experience and this one thing worked to a certain degree and like let me just try to reproduce that whole thing. Which I don't know if it worked that well, it would still be there, right?
Right.
That's kind of the thing. But I remember when you first came and talked to me about it, I just know you as like a very nice, respectful guy. And then, when it comes to sales, like, yes, you could definitely be courteous and respectful, but you still need to be a little bit aggressive. You got to go out there and ask for what you want. Right. So, I mean, at first I wasn't quite sure if that was something that was within your wheelhouse, Kyle, but then you started telling me about your shoe collection. Can you tell us about that?
That's just something I got into way back in middle school.
Nice.
It was in a Michael Jordan commercial in 7th grade and started falling in love with shoes and started getting every pair of shoes that I could get my hands on. Was working minimum wage jobs just so I could buy like the newest pair of Jordans out every other Saturday. And just through that, was able to acquire like over 200 something pairs. Ended up selling that back in 2016 and bought a condo off of the money that I made off of the shoes. And
what?
Now I'm renting that out. And yeah, that's some of my passive income and part of the reason why I started getting into real estate too.
So you were collecting like nice end shoes. What was the most expensive shoe? One pair of shoe that you got to sell?
I sold a pair of shoes probably for about $4,800.
What pair was that?
Like a Paranorman foam posit. It was like you had to enter a contest to win it, and then like he would ship it to you. I didn't win it, but I bought it off of someone, and then I ended up selling it later on. But yeah, that was definitely something that I used to spend all my time doing. And just in recruiting, I know that you mentioned I did recruiting. I started off in like a staffing agency. The staffing agencies are pretty cutthroat. It's like outbound calls, sales. Like you have the amount of volume that you reach is the amount of success that you'll have. And just seeing my name like on a board or just growing up playing basketball, sports, seeing competitiveness and like seeing myself on the very bottom of the list, and like every couple of weeks I would inch up, and that's something that motivated me to see like what I could be doing to increase that volume, increasing like how could I be better at that, how could I become a better recruiter, how can I make more money, and then just having those commissions that would come in every week because of what I was doing really kind of motivated me that way. So I feel like I've always been numbers and metrics driven. I feel like that kind of correlates and corresponded to real estate, which corresponds to this, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, so initially I had my not doubts about you, but just doubts if this was a right fit. Mm-hmm. And then when I heard about your shoe collection and how you flipped that, you parlayed that into a condo, I'm like, yeah, I think he's got the entrepreneurial spirit. I think he figured it out.
That, and you've worked commission before, so you're not afraid of it, right?
Yeah. I've worked. I mean, it was salary plus commission, but I mean, definitely something that I know that why would you not work hard if it's untapped commission, right? You're working for yourself, and There's nothing really that's better than that. You control your own outcome.
Also, one thing that Kyle and I were discussing before we came on, and we're talking about, you know, what systems you can plug into, you know, how, you know, what a normal day to day looks like. So we just I'm trying to set as clear of expectations as possible so he knows what he's getting himself into. But also, you know, we talked about his experience as a recruiter, you know, and look, if you have recruiting skills and you come into this business and you're not looking to build a team, that's your decision 100%. You want to focus on personal production, you can make a very good career out of it. But the thing is, if you already have that skill set, and the thing that got me really thinking, because he said, well, I have a network of these different recruiters, and I'm like, imagine just recruiting agents. But if you start recruiting recruiters, that can recruit more agents. I mean, like, you can multiply your efforts, and like that's like the opportunity is like huge to build a team, and you do want to build a team, right?
Yeah, eventually. I think once I get it down, I would kind of was telling you I'd want to get process down, kind of show my friends like, hey, the proof is in the pudding. This is what I'm doing. People a lot of times people come with the unproven concept, and that doesn't really sell as well as of like, hey, I'm making X amount of money per week. Here's my paycheck, or here's what, you know, just more visibility.
Right.
That I think that contributes to more buy-in.
Sure.
So yeah, I mean, think definitely long term, I'd like to build my team maybe in like 6 months, a year out. I think for right now, really just ground myself and figure out what I'm doing.
Okay.
Learn the basics. And
So you're giving yourself like a 6-month personal production.
yeah.
Show it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I feel like anytime you jump into a new industry, it's like 6 months is you kind of figure out what the hell you're doing after 6 months. Yeah.
That's a real logical, methodical approach. I mean, yeah, 6 months is a good mark. I mean, you might
maybe do it earlier.
Yeah, you might see the results earlier, but yeah, I think a lot. We were just talking about this on Monday at the sales conference when Trey was up there talking about, there was agents that were talking about wanting to recruit, but then they say, I'm going to wait until I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm going to wait until I learn more, and wait until, you know, I get to a certain point. I don't really know how to present this, but then, you know, Trey was like, that's actually the best time for some people to recruit, because, you know, you can come in and just be like, yeah, here's this great opportunity. Like, I suck. I don't know what I'm doing. I do this and I just make this much.
Yeah.
But I'm going to keep working. I'm going to get better. And then people will hear and be like, what, this guy's making this much money?
Right.
Yeah.
And then like, he doesn't even know what he's doing. And then, you know, so then the whole goal is to try to get them to get curious. And then they'll ask, wait, what do you do again? And then you say, I don't know. Let me just put you in touch with my upline. Right. So that was a pretty good technique we took away from Monday sales conference.
Yeah. So I think it's a two-pronged approach with it. His approach, it's a common approach, right? You want to make sure you're recruiting, especially the people that's close to you, around you. You got to have a proven system. But the second prong to it's like, I would share it still, because you just don't know what situation other people are in. Where does that individual, do you know somebody that might need the opportunity now because they need the income now than 6 months later, where they could be in a dire situation from that on.
Right.
So we have a plug and play model where you don't have to particularly be the one that can produce all the results, because we have success from other people's results. So I think from your personal production, from your close friends and family members that you want to bring in, and then people that you feel like are now high quality individuals, they want to see those proof in the pudding. But there could be some others that's like, hey, happenstance, acquaintances, people that are in like bad situations, maybe some odd jobs that they're jumping left and right. They might be available for the opportunity now.
Right.
And then we can help and support those too.
Yeah. So, I mean, when's the best time to recruit? It's pretty much any time.
Yeah.
You know, because there's pros and cons to everything. Now, the thing is, with Kyle's perspective of, you know, he wants to make his own money first, understand this business a little bit more, because that lends credibility to the people you're trying to talk to. There definitely is some truth behind that, because Kyle, if I was always around at the family functions and I was a bum, I was constantly borrowing money, like I didn't make any money, like you wouldn't be inclined to come ask me what I do, right?
Yeah.
So there is something behind that. But so the thing is, like, whenever that situation arises, you could take that personal responsibility and be like, I need to be successful, because if I want to build my business, or if I want to put other people on, like, why shouldn't I work harder and be able to show a little bit more success and show the opportunity and show people that it can be done. It's not about the flex. It's not about how do I show off. It's just about there's people out there looking for opportunity. And if I make it look like terrible, if I make it look terrible and it's not, they're not that lucrative, even though it actually is a good opportunity, like I'm not handling my responsibilities as a man.
You're ruining the sales part.
I'm putting a black eye on FFL.
You're blowing
and
the
on
opportunity
insurance
for
sales in
others before they even try it.
Right.
Makes sense.
And then, plus you also like, you could attract better caliber people too. Like I consider Kyle a high caliber individual.
Right.
And just because, I mean, from your business experience and from the different things that you've done, like, yeah, I mean, I think I would love to have the opportunity to work together to see where this thing goes. I mean, nothing's guaranteed, obviously, we still got to do our respective parts, but that's something that, I'm excited to do.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And like kind of going back to what you said, like if you were a bum borrowing money, if you, didn't have, a certain way, and the way that you kind of portrayed it was just like you never were really like salesy. It was more conversation. And I think that was something that got me interested, because there's nothing worse than being in a room when someone's trying to sell you something that you have no interest in, right? And I never felt like you were pushy, never felt like you went out of your way to talk to me about it. It was more like I was talking to you about it, and you would just answer the questions and give me more information, which kind of made my mind start spinning a little bit and got me interested in doing it myself. Awesome. Yeah.
Cool. Excited for that opportunity coming up.
Yeah. So, if I may ask, since you are a good recruiter, when it comes down to recruiting, for everyone here looking to build a team, can you share like some questions, the right questions to filter an individual to see if they're going to be good for this opportunity, especially coming from a commission type person? I would say my biggest challenge, but common to other agents, is that finding an individual, you think they're the greatest thing, they have great personality, but their mindset is stuck on a W-2 mindset. And they're fearful, they're scared of the entrepreneurship, the investment part, the long-term play, the cost of running a business. What kind of questions would you ask for bringing in a recruit in?
That's a great question. I think in recruiting, I've interviewed tons of recruiters for my companies. I've worked at, Tesla and Meta prior. And what I'm always trying to, when I'm interviewing people to bring onto our companies, it's more of like culture and certain things like that. Do you fit the culture? Do you fit the brand that we're trying to build?
Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you guys are enjoying what you guys are seeing, you guys have any comments, questions, please click on the link below. Please like, subscribe, follow, share, whatever it is to help support our cause. We support you as well. Thank you guys very much. Click below. Appreciate y'all.
But I really, what feels like to me separates people from a good candidate from a great candidate is someone that is willing to go that extra mile. Someone that, whether they follow up, they show you like characteristics of a high performing individual, like whether they're saying, like, oh, I'll follow up with email, or you tell them like, hey, can you send me this? And they send it to you within an hour.
Okay.
Or just like the small things that most people would just take for granted, and you say, or they'll maybe send you a thank you email right after your interview, or just certain things where that this person has a little bit extra to them, or you talk to them and you see. I always ask people like, why are you here? What is your purpose in this job? Or like, what do you want to do? Do you just want to collect a paycheck? Do you want to just you just be here to because you have to provide for your family? Like what is your why? Right. Mm-hmm. And when I find out people's why, and when I figure out like, oh, my why is to be promoted, to grow, and to be, a top producing performer here at this company. Or I don't want to just be stuck here. I want to be making this. I want to help my mom retire. Like those are the type of people that like I feel like have that little extra, extra spice, or whatever you want to call it. Or those are the type of people that I will tell like the rest of my team, like we need to hire that person, or we need to figure out what we can do to get this person on board.
Do you do extra research on him too? Since you're doing Meta, you check their Facebook page,
social media.
Let me see what kind of.
Not
kind of weird post you're putting here.
Yeah, not too much. I mean, you can kind of get a vibe from a person just being in a room with them, but there's definitely some backgrounds and stuff that goes through that. But I mean, I feel like it's more of a vibe and just me talking to, at this point in my career, hundreds of people, maybe thousands, of just like you kind of know within 10 to 15 minutes if this person's going to be a good fit or not, and it's more of an intuition, gut thing. Yeah.
Since you were on the recruiting side, did you ever have to, or did you get to see the end result as far as how their performance actually was once they got hired? Were you
Yeah.
were you kept in the loop about that kind of stuff?
Yeah. So a lot of them I would hire specifically for my team.
Okay.
So I would say, I don't want this person or not interested, or this person's going to, there's a couple of people where I was like, we need to have those people because I know that they're going to do really well. And some of them, I mean, doesn't always pan out the way you want. Obviously people have their own agendas and different things that might come up in their lives, but there is a couple, one or two hires specifically where I knew I had to have that person on my team, and they ended up being worth every single investment that I've poured into them and more. Made, everybody a lot of money, themselves a lot of money. Just you could just see what they're doing it for, and they have that extra motivation, that it factor kind of. Yeah.
But you had to have seen a couple cases in which you're like, this candidate has everything. They seem like they're a high performer. They talk a really great game. They're gonna they say this and that. They got all the markers.
Yeah.
And then they came in and became a total dud.
Yeah, I mean that happens, but I mean that's just life, right? You can't get things right 100%.
Right.
But I think for me, what I really try to look out for in terms of recruiting is the people that have nothing to lose, like they just have everything to gain. People that like come from less typically. One of the hires that I recruited back, and when I first started, just graduated college, was like really hungry, just felt like he had like a desire of just to soak everything in, and would always try to sit next to me and ask me a bunch of questions. I'm like, okay, this guy really just wants to learn, and I'm just going to do my best to pour into him. And he ended up being really, really good. So those are the type of people that you want to pour your energy and effort into.
Right.
Cool. We got a couple more.
Yeah.
What about red flags? What's so you have a, in your sense, you have a pattern of who's a high achiever, right? And then based on all the interviews you've had, who's going to be a good fit. So you got to have like a quick, knockout. What are knockout from a recruit standpoint?
Just like people that you think that won't be good fits right away. Or?
Yeah. What are your like automatic, like, yeah, can't no, don't even hire this guy.
People that, for me, it's timeliness, because I feel like something like if I'm going to show up and invest my time into, you say be here at 2:30, I'm here at 2:30 or 2:25, and you're here at 2:50. Like people that waste your time, I feel like I don't really have a lot of patience for, because I feel like they're not taking your time seriously. So why would I value their time?
Right.
Like it's like my time spending an hour here might cost you $20 because maybe that's your salary, your hourly wage, but my hourly cost for being here is a lot more, where I could be doing something else, further my time, right, and further my income. So I feel like that to me is a huge one on people that don't take your time or effort seriously. People that you set action items for, and we call them action items in recruiting, where you say like, hey, have this done by the end of the day. We're going to go over it. And then people that just don't come through on simple things that you might ask them to do.
Did you guys do like multiple set of interviews, like a 2-step, 3-step?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 2 to 3 steps. And when I come on, I think that's something that I could talk to you about, kind of how to weed out those type of people. Sure. And make it more efficient for you. I think for me, definitely just people that waste time, people that don't follow up on action items. And then just, I just think people that are more selfish driven or motivated by themselves instead of helping other people, especially in this business, I feel like.
Yeah, for sure.
I think if you're just in it for yourself and like, I'm here to get mine, I'm here, it's all about me, blah, blah, blah. Those are the type of people that you don't want, especially if you want them to grow your team and be a part of a team. I feel like those are huge.
It's going to be an ego killer in the future, right?
Yeah, yeah. And then you just want people that, like I grew up playing sports. Basketball is my favorite sport. And what I kind of vision these people and in recruiting is like, I'm putting together a team, right? Okay. What is each person's strengths? Is someone a good shooter, someone a good rebounder, someone a good passer, someone a good defender, right? And that's what you kind of look for in recruiting. Building some people that have like communication skills, or hard workers, or good team builders, or organized, or, those are the type of things. And like when you have those 4 or 5 people together, that's a well-performing team, right? They all have different things that mesh well with the team and helps the team improve or achieve success. And that's kind of what I look for.
Yeah, that's good.
Good stuff.
Yeah, like departmentalized.
Yeah, because not everybody has the same strengths, right? Yeah, everybody has different strengths that make the team better. And that's what you're kind of looking for when you're hiring too.
Yep. If you know any questions, but
that's good.
Yeah. Well, that actually is a really good point. I mean, I was listening to a podcast with Brene Brown and Simon Sinek and Adam Grant,
Hmm.
and they were talking about their different leadership styles. And Adam Grant was talking about how he's nowhere near the leader that Brene Brown or Simon Sinek are personally. But then the thing is, they're like, that's not true, because when it comes to leadership, it's definitely a team sport. So the things like it can't be just be like, oh, this guy's such an amazing leader, this gal's such an amazing leader, and then they can do everything on their own. They got to have people that fall in line, people that believe in that same vision, that are willing to play their respective role. You got to have people that buy into the vision and also contribute their parts for that whole thing to go. So it's not just like, hey, this is one guy, and then he's so awesome that like he just led everybody, and these other people didn't have to do anything. Like he's the special sauce, the magic sauce.
Yeah.
Like there's none of that. I happen to be wearing my Prime shirt today. I don't know if y'all see, but
Coach Prime.
which they kind of suck, right? You watch college football?
Yeah.
So Colorado. I mean, I actually used to like the University of Colorado when like Cordell Stewart and some of these old school guys were there. But the thing is, like, they've been bad for a while. But then the thing is, like, Deion Sanders came in and like he had a good little run at Jackson State, and then he decided, hey, I'm too big for this league, and then like obviously other colleges, it's all about recruiting, bringing in top players so that they put out good product out there in the field so they can sell more merchandise and they can sell more tickets, and then helps the university. Which is a whole different story, but he kind of took the nation by storm this year because they won one game last year, and then he comes in and they start off like 4-0, right? Or was it 3-0?
3-0, yeah.
So they started off and like they beat a ranked team at TCU in the first game in an exciting game, and then they ran it up in the second game, and then the third game went this overtime thriller against Colorado State. It was just like a really impressive run, and then because they were so bad and he didn't really have the personnel to do it, like everyone's thinking like, hey, is this guy going to shock the world and just like make them into a contender in his first year without his entire recruiting class? And then the thing is, they got stomped by Oregon, right? When they played a real ranked team, and then like took a little bit of luster off, then it was just like then they lost again, and then they lost last week against Stanford. So the thing is, I was always very interested, like, how is he going to respond to this? Because it's like, he came in with all this hype, and the whole country was like just like glued to their TVs, just excited to see like what's going to happen next with his team. And then everyone knew that he had some good skill players, but then he didn't have the guys in the trenches. Like both their offensive and defensive line were just they're a little undermanned. Like they don't have the players that they need. But then the thing is, they still went out there and competed. And the thing is, even though they're 4-3 or whatever the record is now, the thing is, like, I saw Coach Prime's post game interview after they lost, and he's like, yeah, I mean, like, you guys better get it now, because like we're going to be better next year. Like you guys, this is the best time to get me right now, because it's not going to continue to be like this. So my point in all that is just actually, if you have something special to offer, like to an organization or to like an overall industry, like he's doing for college football, because it's good for the entire sport. Other coaches may hate, other coaches may not like him getting all that attention, but the thing is, he's bringing something different. And the thing is, believe me, players want to go and play for him. Like number one, they get the attention that they want, so they have a better opportunity to go pro. They get cool uniforms. They get a coach that that has a bunch of swag, that's gonna like believe in them, and so there's a lot of things going for them in that organization. But the thing is, it doesn't need to happen overnight. So as long as you know what direction you're going, the thing is, your confidence should be well beyond where you're currently at, because you see the vision for yourself. He sees the vision for what him and his team is going to do. So like he's projecting himself, he's conducting himself that way, and because of that, it's attracting the type of people that he wants. Now, if he came in and just be like, yeah, well, we're supposed to suck and blah blah blah, it's like, who's really going to be inspired to want to play for that, or who's going to be like, you're going to get there a lot faster with that level of confidence that he is just putting out there into the universe, and he's carrying around for himself. So I think the more that we can continue to do that it's not just for ourselves. It's not really about us. But if we can do that and just show other people that, hey, look, I mean, this is my vision. This is how big I think we can get, or this is how much I'm willing to work for it. Then people will be inspired to follow. And for the people that want the results right now, that don't want to take a leap of faith, I mean, they might just go somewhere else. But that's fine. That's the whole part of the weeding out process. You got to get the people that believe in themselves and buy into your vision. And if you can do all that, you have an opportunity to do some really special things together.
Yeah, I think that's good too, because like when you're really in the spotlight, you always hear these post game interviews. Sometimes coaches throw their kids and their players under the bus.
Right.
Oh, we didn't have this much. We didn't have this. That's good for him to just say, okay, it is what it is. We're gonna get better. We're coming.
Right. Yeah.
He kept it in one unit.
Yeah, to maintain that perspective, because it's never about wins or losses, on a individual basis, because everyone loses.
Right.
That is just part of competing. But the thing is, it's how you respond to it. Like, are you going to let it defeat you, or is it just going to be one of those things where it's like, yeah, we could have executed better. We didn't do this right. We didn't do this right, and that's the results we get, and we take responsibility for that, and let's move on to the next thing.
Yeah, that's really a charismatic thing he's doing, especially for his players, because they still gravitate towards him for that, right? So no one feels like they're taking the brunt end of one fault of the loss,
right? And especially at that level, the thing is, like, he's taking ownership over everything. So like when they lose, it's about him, and when they win, it's about the kids. So
good thing.
Really cool deal. So just something to consider as you guys continue to progress with your respective careers. If you're looking to build a team, or you're thinking about building a team, I mean, these are some ideas that leaders better than I have been coming up with, and things that they've employed in their process. And you'll see the result in the end. And the thing is, if even you don't see results right now, it's a long game. So you guys got to keep pushing and do the things that are right, and do the things that are going to actually push your business forward. So, but speaking of pushing business forward, I'm very happy to be joined remotely today by Elyssa Montiel. Welcome. You're a vice president with FFL Fearless.
Yeah. Vice.
Well, I can just let well.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah. Is there someone in the background or someone not?
Yeah, Ralph came over. If you could just hang on a little bit. He came over to help us set up our Facebook ad account.
Awesome.
Teach us how to. So he's over there screaming.
Tell Ralph we said hello. He's one of my favorite guys.
I know, he told us right now. He said he was like, I'm gonna be here at 11. I was like, you better not stop with your homeboy Albert first.
Someone actually saw him driving down, and they're like, is he coming on the podcast again? What's up, Ralph? What's going on, my man?
What's happening?
We've got to have you back soon. But
Yeah, let me know.
all right.
I was listening to him talk earlier, and I'm like, I can't believe you look like a gangster, but you sound so white.
No, he connects with his people,
Yeah.
But actually, let's get back to you. So I mean, we just came off of the LA Sales Conference on Monday. It was a great event. It was over at the Dream Center. Was this your first time training in an event of that size?
Yeah, it was.
Okay. I remember trying to come up with the agenda, and I was like, oh, I definitely need to ask you. And then initially, you're like, oh, I'm a little bit nervous. And then I
was nervous, because every time that I would look up at people, everyone was like taking pictures of me or something. I'm like, I cannot be a celebrity.
Is it true that you only slept like 3 hours?
I did, because I was more nervous about being late, because I have 4-year-old twins, and they're like they still sleep with us. So anytime anybody moves, my husband leaves to work around 4:30 in the morning. So anytime somebody moves, they're just like so needy, they're very, so I was just more like, oh my God, how am I going to get ready so early and then not make noise? But I ended up managing, to get up, and I got them ready first, and they were watching me get ready. So it worked out. That's what I was the most nervous about, the traffic and stuff. So
where are you guys at?
I live in La Puente.
Okay. Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
you recently opened an office on that area too.
Yeah, I did. We're in the Old Town La Puente. It's a nice little community. It's quiet.
Congrats.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you.
So what were your thoughts on the sales conference? What did you get out of it? What was your overall thoughts in general?
I personally feel like I've always stuck to everything relentless, Josh and Alondra, like I love them, they're my uplines, but I've always stuck to and been to everything relentless. So hearing from, other people, I was like, oh my God, like there's, and I really liked all the stories I heard. I think the story about the young man that was in $20,000 of chargebacks and he ended up that's so amazing because you get 10, 15, $20,000 chargebacks of like roll up debt and you're, oh my God, I'm gonna, you don't even know what you're gonna do at that moment. But stuff like that, and then just to see that kid believes in his, I don't know if he moved here because of Dom, but I'm like, man, he found somebody that poured belief into him and he moved clear across the country, to be closer to his mentor. And I think that was so amazing.
Yeah, I agree. I think Jake, that was Jacob Bruns, and 20-year-old kid that was playing college baseball, and then him and Dom connected via DM, and then he did really well. And this is the problem with most agents, like or the first hurdle that most agents encounter is just that they come in, they follow the system, they put in the work, they make their sales, they get a decent amount of money, and they're just like, cool, it works. Yeah. And then you make this money, and then you just think, oh, it's going to continue on. I don't need to work anymore. I can go to Disneyland. I can take a bunch of vacations. I can buy a new car. I can do all these other things. And then, oh wait, I forgot to put the work in to continue to keep this thing rolling. And I think that's when chargebacks start to happen, and you start building up some debt.
Yeah,
but, yeah, it is great to see like someone that new work his way out of debt. I mean, that for people that are new, that sounds like a lot of money.
Yeah. New, and not to mention young, because he's only 20 years old, and that's usually when you make the most financial mistakes in your life, when you're that young. So it was really nice to for everyone to hear him getting out of that mess.
Definitely, especially for someone that young. I mean, a lot of times people that young, and maybe this is because I'm a little bit older now, I just think like people that young, they just want to give up. It's too hard, and they give up and they just try to go do something else, which, by the way, that debt doesn't leave you anyway. But
yeah,
but people kind of give it, and that's the part that I really love hearing from like events like this. You hear people struggle, and then like how they figure out how to overcome it, and then now they're a better person for it.
Yeah.
Right. Which, by the way, as a side note, I mean, he said he had 20,000 in debt, and I totally get it. When I was brand new, I'd be like, oh man, that's so much money. And then like now John and I, and like I'm sure Dominic was the same way, and all the other people that have been around for a while were like 20,000, child's play, child's play.
Yeah.
But see, the thing is, it gets easier because number one, you're better prepared, and you know what to do with it. You know how to make more money. You know how to run through it. But also, you've leveled up because of the fact that you didn't give up. You've gotten stronger, and you're mentally more capable of handling these challenges. And instead of giving up, you're just like, all right, cool. Like, what do I need to do methodically to get rid of this thing? Mm-hmm. And if you stick with it, you figure it out. If you give up, you're always stuck with that same level, and that level's no good.
Yeah. And it was that was my favorite part, like hearing everyone else's experiences and, the training, how they do things. Cause like I said, I was always just, like, hey, wherever you guys say I'm going to go. But I feel like now I'm at a point where I understand now that if I want to, grow, I have to build my own brand. And that's what I'm doing. And I have to, learn from other people. And I'm glad that I went there. And I'm glad that a big part of our team was able to go. We got to hear from other people. It's not just always the same people. I think that was like the biggest thing, hearing from other people and knowing that, there's different experiences.
Right. Well, yeah, and Josh and Alondra are great. It's just for you to have an opportunity to actually speak, for the first time in a setting like this. I mean, I thought it was really exciting, and I thought you did really well up there, because I was like, it really hit me, because I was like, I remember being at this stage in my career in insurance or in sales in general, and just thinking like, I've kind of lost that hunger at times, because you get up to a certain level, you start feeling yourself a little bit, and you start thinking like, okay, well, what's the next thing, rather than like, these are the things that got me to this point in the first place. So like, I don't understand why I should neglect these things, and why I can't continue to push harder on these particular areas. So yeah, thank you very much for sharing and bringing that back into the consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
If I could just have you introduce yourself for everyone else, that may have not been there. Can you just tell us a little bit about yourself. How long have you been with, in insurance and with FFL, where you're at now and where you're headed to?
Okay, so I got licensed in 2015 and I was working for American National. Like they have a division of the company called Career Sales and Service Agents. And what they do is they still go every day, every single day to collect people's premiums.
And give them coupons, right?
When I was working there, we didn't do that anymore because, I feel like they make so much money, but then they got so cheap, that specific part,
My clients, when they have American National, they said instead of the tickets, the proof, they call it coupons.
Oh, yeah, you're right. The sign, yeah, like the proof. Yeah, that's true. And then there was like, you would lose it and I would just write it on the back of my card and it was I could totally get in trouble for that. I was supposed to do that, but it was fun because like I mentioned over there, I like for a long time I was a single mom, and then once I met my husband I was like, oh my god, now I could relax a little bit because now I have somebody that helps me. And but then once you start living together and you have to pay rent, you have to pay all these things, like because now you're an adult. It was like, oh my god, like I'm not making enough money and the poor guy's like working his ass off and he's doing all he's always been a really great provider, but I always wanted to do more, and every job that I would get paid a little bit more, but then you really don't see it. So we went up north to Tulare with his aunt, and he's like, you're gonna really like her. She's really sweet. She's a good person. You can learn a lot from her. And I think he kind of in his head, like he was ready for us to meet because I don't know, he knew we were gonna relate. And as soon as I walked up, I was like, because they're my in-laws, they're very humble people, and everyone else that lives around us is like very humble, people. And I had like going to that side of town where she lives, I was like, what the heck? Like, you have a family that lives in a house like this, And so I met her, I saw her house, everything was like so nice. As a mom, as a wife, those are things that you want, like have the nice table, the fancy refrigerator, everything stocked up from Costco and stuff. I mean, this is how I think, okay? And like the name brand stuff, the organic stuff, not the bootleg stuff. So right. I was like, I saw that she had like this section in her house, and it was like a little glass cabinet, and she had all these pictures of herself with awards and like medals and certificates. And I'm like, what do you do? She's like, I sell life insurance. I'm like, life insurance? Like, and she's like, yeah. She's like, I'm a district manager for a life insurance company here. And I was just like, I straight up asked her, I was like, are you hiring? She's like, no, not right now. I'm like, can you let me know when you're hiring? And she's like, you want to come work out here? And she's like, you guys can live here with us, because at that point it was just her and her husband. She's like, you guys can live here with us. If you're willing to move, I can get you a job, but it's here. And I looked at my husband, he's like, no. So yeah. So, I always like kept in touch with her. I really looked up to her, just the way she was. And when we would go out to eat, she would treat everybody real good, and she was paying for everything. And I'm like, I want to do that for my family, So she was one of the first people that kind of like opened up my very expensive taste that I have now. And, so I kept working. As my mother-in-law calls me one day and she's like, Monica said to call her right now because her brother-in-law is hiring someone at their office in Montclair and you would be working in El Monte. And I'm like, I called right away. The next day I went to an interview and he was like, the job is yours. I just can't hire you right now because the agent, she just put in her 2 weeks and, she's whatever. So I kept calling him every day after that interview. And when I finally started, I felt like it was one of the best things that happened to me. They start you off at $700 a week. That was a lot of money for me because I was making like $700 every 2 weeks, They, for the first 6 months, they pay $700 a week. And then that whole time you're getting licensed, you're making sales. You're not licensed, but all the sales that you make go into like a sales account, right? So every time, once you're licensed, and you break quarter, every week you get 20% of what's in that account. And to me, that was a lot of money. But now that I'm here, I'm like, what the hell was I thinking? But it was such a good start because I got a love for like what we do, I was an agent that was assigned to the city of El Monte. Every agent has a city. And there's so many like Hispanic, people there. And what drove me, honestly, was like, like the whole educating people or like teaching people what life insurance was. I got to meet a lot of cool people, made a lot of cool connections. So the boss, her brother-in-law, that was my boss, and I learned everything from him. I used to I used to just be like, hey, you come to this appointment with me, please. Like, I didn't care. He never he never like said no to me. And we became really close with his family and everything, because technically we were kind of like family. So he left to another company, has 3 letters in it. And then like the that starts with the P. And for a whole year he would send me like, hey, this is how much money we made, this is how much money we made, you can become an owner of the company. And I was like scared, because all I ever knew was a job. And when I finally I resigned and I went to work for him, and I was like, why did I do that? Because everything is so focused on recruiting, but not recruiting for the right reasons. You're recruiting kind of more for appearances.
Yeah.
And so fast forward, I ended up with like a lot of credit card debt, because everything was. And I was actually recruited by Jose Patino, who at that time, he was doing a lot. He was like the golden child of like Relentless. And I'm like, you're lying. And he's like, why would I lie? Like, this is my deposits. And I'm like, you were doing so good over here. Like, why'd you leave? And he's like, cause I was at a meeting one time and I took a step back and I said, like, is this really what I want to do now that I have a daughter? Do I really want to come here and pretend every Tuesday night, and then go back home broke? And I'm like, oh my God, like you're right. Because at that point, my husband and I were fighting a lot for the same reasons. He was like, I would have the girls on my team or, over for, lunch or whatever. And then he would walk in and he would say like, oh, look at this little nonprofit organization sitting.
That's called game.
And that's pretty much what it was though. So I'm like, I could not stop thinking about it. And I'm like, I owe them this. I owe my team this. Cause let me tell you guys, FFL was like a huge threat to them. Okay.
Right.
It wasn't just like 10, 20 people. It was thousands of people leaving at that time. And every single training or every single call that we would have, it was always, like, why be a builder versus a producer? And it was so much brainwashing that was going on. And, like, you can't be a quitter. Like, just like, it was like such a tough mental battle, because I'm like, I came this far, like I got into all this debt for what? All these people behind me, they believe in me, and what, I'm just gonna quit? Like it was tough, plus not to mention I was like, I had just had my daughter, so I was going through like postpartum depression and all this stuff, like money problems and stuff. And then I just like Mari Carmen Albert, Mari Carmen.
Yep.
He was like, if you don't leave, I'm going to leave. And I really don't want to be your upline. So you better leave before us.
That's awesome.
And I had these girls, like a lot of my team was like, let's just go. And I'm like, so when we left, there was like over 50 people that came with me, even people that were not on my team, just people in that office or like that, like liked me or, we talked. And
yeah,
I'm like, man, people are just looking for direction, So I felt like
you were like an MD or higher above that.
Yeah, I wasn't MD. But over there when you're a leader, it's more of a title, and like it's like, they used to make like here, that's why it's so weird. When I first started going to the Gardena office and I would see you guys walk out, I would just be like, not scared, but I would be like, oh my God, like I saw him in a podcast, because the edification has a whole like different level in that company.
Crazy.
Because it's like you're untouchable. You have to qualify to talk to them. And it was like, and seeing you guys like coming in and out of those offices, I was like, oh my God, I felt like you guys were celebrities.
I know. It was always
funny.
kind of weird, because I would see people come in and people were like way too deferential. I'm like, you don't need to show me this much respect. I mean, like we're all just regular people.
Like, hello, sir.
Yeah, when people say, oh, excuse me, sir, and I'm like, my name's Albert. Just talk to me like a regular person.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And so and it was just, coming over here, it was like, oh my God, like these people are actually willing to talk to you, willing to help you. I remember like asking JP questions sometimes, and I'm like, oh my God, that was so easy. He said it like nothing. And over there, it was like you had a question and they gave you a whole hour, like, oh, you got to read this book. Like, so I'm not trying to read no more books. I'm trying to make some money. So, and that was how I came here. And I feel like everyone watching us, we were posting, we used to make like all these funny posts on Facebook that on Instagram that we ended up getting in trouble for later on.
It's better to ask for forgiveness than ask for permission,
I really don't care. I'm like, because I told Alondra one time, I'm like, dude, what are they gonna sue me for, Alondra? I don't have anything. Like, okay. So it was just really funny, because everything that we said was facts, and that's why they were mad. But I feel like just the way that I was with people, because just telling you guys like how I was always broke, I was always like at jobs where I wasn't, it was just not enough money for the life that I was destined for, and I feel like I always like Monica, who Monica was to me, like how she believed in me and she gave me an opportunity. And even though maybe not at that moment, I wasn't going to relocate to Tulare or to Visalia, but she kept me in mind, she could have let them hire anybody else, and she kept me in mind. And I'm like, I always try to be the person that I always try to be to people like what the person that I wish I had, and I think that like that's what's helped me recruit a lot, because I've had like girls reach out to me that I don't personally know, like, hey, I see how you manage everything, like how you're always with your kids and you run a business. She's like, and that inspires me. Like, I want to work with someone like you. And the majority of my team is like moms, but now I got away from that, because as moms, we also have a lot of like obstacles to even get stuff done outside of the house. So now I'm like, more like after, I was about to say now I'm after young men, but I'm not.
Ooh, that plot thickens.
Yeah. But I have like a lot of like younger, like young men now on our team, and like they're hungry. Like Griselda told one of her downlines, like, you better not get a girlfriend, because if you get a girlfriend, I'm not gonna work with you, and you just need to go back to your job. Because me and you are gonna be working together. There's a lot of girls in the office. She's just gonna be jealous, and she's gonna be toxic, and you're not gonna make any money, because she's gonna wanna, know where you're at all the time. And that's the kind of like, like demographic that we have going on right now. We have a lot of. I'm excited, because for a long time I was telling Albert the other, like yesterday, like I was kind of like struggling a lot mentally, because sometimes you care about people too much and you want more for them than they wanted for themselves, and that just like brings you down, but yeah, I had to channel my inner Alondra and be a little cold-hearted about about detaching, and like letting everyone figure out their own things. So
yeah, everyone's got to run their own course and do their own thing. Like you're you. I mean, you got fearless. You're your own person. I mean, it doesn't mean like you have nothing to do with anyone else. It's just you got to build your own thing at some point.
Yeah, and then just like I had to learn how to not be so available to everyone, because if you really want, we all started at the same time, and if you really wanted to do this, you would have been even better than me, or so just a lot of things like that. But I've always liked recruiting. I've always liked and I like he was saying right now, at first, I think because coming from PHP, we were so desperate to like recruit literally anybody. You would, bring your grandma back from the dead if you could, just to ask her social. But now, and in the beginning in FFL, everyone was coming over because they wanted to make money. And what happens? everyone makes money, then they spend it because they're so used to living off so little that when they start making money, they spend it, and then the chargebacks come, and then everything freezes, and I don't want to recruit people like that anymore. So now I'm a lot more selective, but I like to study people when I'm, about to offer them an opportunity, because they're not everyone's gonna do this full time, but in my, like, once I talk to someone and I hear a little bit about their story or their situation, their background, if I can help bring, an additional $5,000-$10,000 to that family, then hey, I serve my purpose with them,
Mm-hmm.
So
But
I-
it's sorry, go ahead.
no, and that's always what I'm, when I'm talking to people, I'm like, okay, she looks like someone that, like you mentioned, right? You can get a feel for people usually. So sometimes you're wrong though.
Yeah, I mean, people got to prove themselves over time, and you got to prove yourself over time too. I mean, it's a two-way street all the time. But it's actually a really good thing to hear that you're branching out, because you had so many single mothers or mothers on your team, and then now you're trying to round it out a little bit with more males. And that's the thing. I mean, I'm blessed with a very diverse team. You wouldn't be able to tell in studio today, but we have a very diverse group, and all those different perspectives, all those different experiences. I mean, that all teaches me things to be able to learn how to continue to scale at it, with different groups and talk to different people, and it's a tremendous help. So I mean, I'm really excited for you to continue to do that, and plus it challenges us to go beyond our comfort zones and go beyond what we're accustomed to. That's where the growth really is.
Yeah.
So before we let you go, Elyssa, I got a couple final questions for you. So first of all, for someone, if there's an agent struggling or a manager that's struggling, what advice would you give them?
Just keep going. We all go through stuff, and it's not as easy it's not as easy for everyone to just kind of like get up and go. But for me personally, like, what drives me when I'm going through stuff, I could be fighting with my husband, I could be like just going through whatever, I just work. I just get on the phones. I just start like sending messages. Ever since the conference, I've sent about 780 DMs on Instagram, just reaching out to random people. Like I just hashtag Los Angeles, hashtag La Puente. I've sent almost 800 messages, guys, just like I used to do at PHP. But except now I have something like to really offer them, and I just that's whatever work looks like for you, even if it's not something that's gonna make you money right away, like that's how you're gonna get out of it. Because if you just sit there at home, you're going through it and you're struggling, and what happens, you start to look at everyone like with a negative, like in a negative way, where you kind of start like hating on them a little bit, like, oh, she's fucking lying, like yeah, right, like and all that does is just kind of like push you further and further away from the business. So I always tell people, like, just get up, just go work, like go for a walk, and then get back to it, get on the phones, like reach out to people. So I think work for me, work cures all,
That's good advice. Right. Just got to keep going. No other choice. And obviously, you kind of alluded to it. You like nice stuff. You've elevated your lifestyle, which is nothing wrong with them. I do too. But we're in a perfect job to be able to do that because we can keep working. But aside from the money, what do you do this for?
Just being able to provide my family with experiences. There was 6 of us growing up, and my mom never worked. My mom was the type that for everything she had coupons. I remember we did get to go to Knott's and Disneyland, but it was with the soda can. Remember the coupons on the soda can and stuff? And I never knew what like food at a theme park was, because my mom used to pack a backpack full of sandwiches, and we would get there, just things like that. And like it's my son, my nephews, both of my sisters have boys, like they're all around the same age, and these kids are expensive, but like I kind of like being, and I know I'm nowhere near like where you guys are at, financially and stuff, but I can make it happen for the people around me, and I just love that feeling. Like if my sisters are struggling and my nephews reach out to me, that drives me, you guys. Like, Elyssa, you think you can you think you can like send me, $50 for this? Oh my God, that like brings me to life. Like just knowing I can do that for them. And just,
Until they ask too often.
yeah. My
Now
nephew,
you got to claim us a dependent.
I wish. But my nephew, he's like 11 years old and he's all into shoes and he sends me his birthday list and it was like these Travis Scott shoes that were like almost $12,000. I'm like,
What?
I told my sister, I'm like, I found this guy on Instagram that has the shoes that Isaac wants, but they're only like $200. And she's like, how? I'm like, because they're fake.
He won't know the difference right now. Go get them for him.
But that like my family, because when we grew up, we didn't have like we were not poor, we were not, but we didn't have all the things that we want to do, and we were girls. It was 4 girls, so girls want a lot more things. And I think with my son, it was kind of like I was always on survival mode, and once I got married and stuff, and he was in sports are expensive too, and sometimes we didn't have the money for it. My mom would help us out. But now that I have daughters, you guys, honestly, I think having daughters is what like transformed a lot of things about me, because I want to empower them. I want them to see like, hey, it wasn't just daddy's money. It wasn't just like daddy doing everything. Like my mom has a business, like we go to my mom's office. Like we go, like my mom can give your mom a job.
Wow.
That, like, to me, like just knowing that I'm raising little girls that are going to be women, like that did it for me, so. And they're bossy too, like they'll you guys don't speak Spanish, but they'll be like, because my kids,
we speak.
So yeah, so my daughters will be like, mami, ya te vas a trabajar, you're going to work. I'm like, sí, ya voy a trabajar. Okay, vas a agarrar dinero para Target, because my kids like going to Target. So just that's what does it for me, like being able to provide my family with experiences like that. I went to we were in Mexico for 2 weeks, and I worked obviously before I left, and so just like every single day I was getting deposits, you guys, every single day.
Awesome. Love it.
And I'm like, before when we would go on vacation, it was like, man, is it Friday yet? Because that's when I get paid, on Fridays,
Right.
Stuff like that.
That's a really awesome story. I'm really happy for your success. I remember seeing you when you first came over, and you've come a long way, and I know that you care about your people, and you continue to put that first when you're recruiting people and bringing people in. So as long as you continue to do that, I mean, I think you're clearly going to make mistakes along the way, because we all do, and that's just part of the process. But with the right attitude, and you continue to care about people and continue to put in that work, I mean, you're going to go a long way in this business.
Thank you.
Well, we got Elyssa Montiel. Thank you very much for joining us.
One last thing, how do we find you on social media, since you're doing all that? We want to be able to copy your IG.
Well, I guess I could tell you. It's Elymon Life, so ELYMON, and then Life.
Cool. So
one of my new guys, he's in San Diego. He's like a few guys down from me, but he has a really powerful TikTok presence, and he actually makes money on TikTok. He talks about like masculinity and topics like that. Mm-hmm. And TikTok pays him. Like he showed me his little, deposits and stuff. And so that kind of inspired me to start making life insurance, like reels and stuff,
I've seen some.
Yeah, so I'm gonna start doing that, because I feel like it's important. It shouldn't have to be such a serious topic. I feel like if people see the fun in it,
Yeah. Well, I mean, social media serves a lot of different purposes. I mean, if your goal is to monetize it and make money off of the content that you put out, that's great. If you want to market your business, if you want to market your own self, you want to build your brand, whatever it may be. Like for me, I mean, I feel like I have things I want to say and messages I want to get out, and that's one way to share it. So whatever it happens to be for you, I mean, I'm real happy.
Maybe not me make money off Instagram, but just wait till my daughters are old enough. They're gonna be TikTok stars too.
John's daughter too.
Yeah, she loves that. I can't find you. ELIMON. Okay, Elymon Life. Got it.
All right. Well, we'll be seeing you around. I mean, we'll definitely got to get you in studio one of these days. But just keep doing your thing. Continue to push. Keep being there for your team. Appreciate you spending some time with us today.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Albert. All right, you guys.
All right. And then Kyle, thank you very much for coming
Yeah,
in.
thank
Appreciate you spending some time with us. John, thank you as always. Everyone that's on here, producer Bryce. So let's take some of these things. Let's go out there and have prime effect on other people. Let's be the leader that you would like to have. Be the leader that you know would benefit other people. As long as you continue to do stuff like that, I mean, you just got to stay in the game. Just keep pushing forward, and let's figure it out. If you need anything, let us know. Reach out. Otherwise, see you next time.
Thank you.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Appreciate you guys taking the time. If you guys enjoyed what you guys saw, please like, subscribe, follow, all that good stuff. Also, if you guys have any future topics that you'd like us to address in the future, we're here to try to provide value for you guys, just like you're providing value to us. Appreciate y'all.